Hi, I am a Debra R. Richardson of Debra R. Richardson LLC, and I work with you to help you clean up your vendor data, clean up your vendor processes so that you pay the right vendor. Now, this week's Vendor Master File tip of the week is W-9 red flags that vendor teams should not ignore to avoid fraud and IRS fines. So let's get started. Now we are going to start with the red flags that lead to fraud that you just can't ignore. And the first one, and we've all seen this, right? The vendor just does not want to submit. But some of the times it's not just the vendors that don't want to report their income. It is because they are a fraudster and they will try to tell you that they are a corporation so that you don't ask them but ask anyway. The next one is the IRS 10 match is not successful. Why? Because they are a fraudster. Now, some fraudsters are getting smart and they are registering their business using or the vendor's legal name and tax ID using the synthetic information that they have concocted or stolen. And so uh, this is not a foolproof. You can't just do one thing. It's a layered approach, but this is definitely a red flag. The next one is the address doesn't exist. Why? Because they are a fraudster. So there was a story I always tell about how we received an address for a vendor once. We could not validate it. And so we went on Google Earth and found that it was a parking lot next to a liquor store. Very big red flag. And then the next one is the address too. So it's not a physical address. Now, it could be a fraudster unless you also collect a valid physical address. Why? Because fraudsters hide behind P.O. boxes and other non-physical addresses. So it is a red flag, but you do need to make sure that you check for a physical address. And if there isn't one, ask for one. And if you can't get one, that is definitely a red flag for fraud. Now, let's talk about red flags on the W-9 that can lead to IRS fines. So go back to the fact that the IRS 10 match is not successful. It means that, right, you file your 1099, 1042s, reporting, and the IRS may assess fines both for filing erroneous information, also for sending recipient statements with that same erroneous information. And then the other thing too is you might not think about it, but if you don't validate that address and standardize it so that it can be mailed and make it to your vendor, that means that you might get it back. And so that's going to cause you rework because now you have to fix it and send it back out. And in the meantime, you may end up getting that recipient statement to your vendor late. And that is the cause or can be a cause for a penalty and fine being assigned by the IRS or assessed by the IRS. And then this other one, this last one, I see this a lot. The vendor wants you to pay the DBA name and tax ID. And I don't know why they do that. They will put, let's say, a different legal name in line one and a different tax ID in the tax ID area, right, in that field. But then in the DBA, they have a different name and a tax ID, and that's the one they want you to pay. You need to figure that out because the W-9 is supposed to identify who the beneficial owner is. And DBAs, as per the IRS, indicates that that is a disregarded entity that the IRS really doesn't care about. Usually, you use that field in order to identify the uh, name the invoices will come in, and then that way when you AP posts the invoice, or we'll put it this way, AP will be able to post the invoice because you have the DBA name on the vendor record from line 2, not a name and a different tax ID. So you need to work that out with your vendor. Most likely they need to put the DBA name and the tax ID as the beneficial owner on the W-9, meaning put that in line 1, name in line 1, and the tax ID on the in the applicable tax ID field. All right. So we talked about red flags on the W-9. And if you are still collecting those W-9s in email, you might want to check out this podcast episode that's going to be coming up next. You can also listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. But you know what? You might just be able to use AI to spot red flags in email at the user level. You don't need IT. You do need to make sure you have an approved AI tool, but take a listen to that podcast and see if it's something that you can do to give a second eyes to not only you, but maybe your team members as well. All right, so if you'd like more information on how to improve your vendor process, please go to my website at deborarrichardson.com for free tools and resources to avoid fraud, regulatory fines, and just overall bad vendor data. Now, if you would like over 173 annual hours of vendor process training for your team, please go to the Vendor Process Training Center at training.deborarrichardson.com. So good luck and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified next Tuesday for the next Vendor Master File tip of the week.